My beloved child, listen carefully. This is not an ordinary moment, and this is not an ordinary message. Time has been quietly narrowing around you, and now the veil has lifted. December 28th stands before you like a gate that cannot be ignored. What you do, what you choose, and what you correct in this final stretch of the year will echo far beyond what your eyes can currently see. Archangel Michael steps forward with urgency, not to frighten you, but to awaken you. There is a situation connected to your life, your space, and your decisions that must be corrected before this year closes. You may have felt a strange restlessness lately, as if something unfinished keeps tapping at your spirit. That feeling is not random. It is a signal. Hear this clearly. Something you assumed would fix itself will not move unless you move first. This is the warning. Not because you failed, but because heaven refuses to let you step into the next season carrying unresolved weight. Archangel Michael says the delay ends here. There is a hidden imbalance, subtle but powerful. It may involve your home, your responsibilities, or a choice you postponed because it felt uncomfortable. You told yourself, I will deal with it next year. But next year cannot receive you like this. The energy of the closing year demands alignment. You are not being judged. You are being protected. Archangel Michael reveals that this situation has been quietly draining your peace. It shows up as mental noise, interrupted sleep, emotional heaviness, or a sense that joy feels slightly out of reach. You might not have connected these feelings to a specific cause, but heaven already has. And now, the instruction is simple but firm. Correct it before the door closes. Do not underestimate how small the correction may seem. Sometimes it is a conversation that was avoided. Sometimes it is a boundary that was never enforced. Sometimes it is a physical environment that holds memories you were meant to release. What matters is obedience, not size. December 28th is not about panic. It is about precision. Archangel Michael stands with his sword not as a threat, but as a divider, separating what can go forward from what must stay behind. He says you cannot carry old agreements into a new covenant. Something you once tolerated has expired. Heaven has already withdrawn permission from it, even if you haven't yet. Pay attention to what keeps resurfacing in your thoughts. The thing you keep circling back to is not haunting you. It is calling you to closure. Ignoring it will not make it disappear. Addressing it will unlock relief you forgot was possible. This message is urgent because the window is real. When the year closes, certain protections reset. Certain cycles up. Certain opportunities wait for alignment before they return. Archangel Michael does not want you stepping into January still negotiating with what December was meant to end. You may feel resistance rise as you listen. That resistance is not your enemy. It is the indicator that this message is accurate. The very area where you feel defensive, tired, or uncertain, that is where correction is required. Hear this promise. Once you correct it, the pressure lifts quickly. This is not a long battle. This is a decisive move. Archangel Michael says the moment you act, support rushes in. What felt heavy becomes manageable. What felt confusing becomes clear. What felt stuck begins to move. But heaven cannot override your will. You must choose alignment. This warning comes with compassion. You are closer to breakthrough than you realize, but alignment always precedes acceleration. The year cannot bless what you refuse to confront. And yet, once you do, the blessing does not delay. Look around your life carefully. Ask yourself, what have I been tolerating that no longer fits who I am becoming? The answer will rise immediately. Trust it. This is why you were led to this message now and not later. December 28th is your signal. A final checkpoint. A loving interruption. Do not rush past this moment. Archangel Michael says, correct it, and you will cross over lighter. Ignore it, and you will carry unnecessary weight into a season that was meant to feel free. This is your warning, but it is also your invitation. The year is still open. A choice is still yours. Beloved soul, there is a deeper layer to this warning that must now be revealed, because what Archangel Michael is showing goes beyond a surface correction. This is not only about what you see, it is about what has quietly shaped your reactions, your patience, and your expectations throughout this year. December 28th is highlighted because it exposes patterns that have been repeating without your permission. Heaven has watched you endure more than you were meant to, and now the call is not endurance, but alignment. Archangel Michael speaks of a silent agreement you did not realize you made. It may have formed through compromise, exhaustion, or the desire to keep peace. At the time, it felt harmless. You told yourself it was temporary. But temporary things are not meant to become permanent residences in your life. This agreement has lingered past its expiration date, and that is why your spirit has felt crowded. You are not weak for having tolerated it. You are learning. But now you know better, and knowing requires action. The warning carries this truth. If it is not corrected, it will attempt to follow you into the next cycle wearing a different face. What you do not confront directly will try to re-enter indirectly. That is why this moment is sacred. Heaven prefers closure over repetition. Archangel Michael reveals that this situation hath been testing your discernment. You sensed something was off, but logic talked you out of intuition. You explained away the discomfort. You minimized your own knowing. And yet, your spirit never stopped signaling. This is why the message feels intense. It is not new information. It is confirmation. There is also something important you must hear now. Correction does not always mean removal. Sometimes it means repositioning. Sometimes it means a conversation spoken with clarity instead of silence. Sometimes it means deciding what access someone or something no longer has. Heaven is not asking you to destroy everything. It is asking you to put things back in their rightful place. Archangel Michael stands guard over your peace, but peace must be defended with truth. Avoidance has cost you more energy than honesty ever will. Once you face this situation, you will realize how much strength you have been wasting by carrying it quietly. December 28th holds power because it sits between reflection and release. It is late enough in the year for patterns to be visible, and early enough for correction to still count. This is mercy. Heaven did not wait until it was too late. You are being given time because you are trusted. Pay attention to the people, tasks, or environments that feel heavier than they should. Weight is a language. Your spirit understands it even when your mind resists it. If something drains you consistently without restoration, it requires adjustment. Archangel Michael is not vague here. He is precise. This warning is also about integrity, not moral perfection, but inner alignment. You cannot say yes with your mouth and no with your spirit without creating internal conflict. That conflict has been showing up as fatigue, distraction, or emotional numbness. Correction restores harmony. You may be wondering how to begin. Begin with honesty. Not with others first, but with yourself. Admit what no longer works. Admit what you have outgrown. Admit what you have been hoping would change without your involvement. Admission alone shifts the atmosphere. Now hear this carefully. The moment you choose to correct it, resistance may rise from the outside. That does not mean you are wrong. It means the shift is real. Anything that benefits from your silence will react when you find your voice. Archangel Michael says, do not retreat. Heaven is backing this decision. This message has reached you because you are ready to move cleaner, lighter, and clearer. But readiness must become action. Insight without movement turns into frustration. Movement turns insight into freedom. If this message is speaking directly to your situation, do not keep it to yourself. Engage with it. Let it anchor deeper. Take a moment to like this message so it reaches others who are standing at the same crossroads. Share it with someone who has been feeling the same inner tension but cannot name it yet. Leave a comment declaring that you are choosing alignment before the year closes, because words spoken carry power. And if this channel continues to confirm what your spirit already knows, subscribe and stay connected, because these messages are released on purpose and on time. Before you move on, pause here for a moment. What comes next will bring even more clarity, and you will not want to miss how this correction unlocks what has been delayed. Hold on, because this is where the unseen starts to make sense. Chosen one. Now the atmosphere shifts, because Archangel Michael reveals not only what must be corrected, but why heaven has been so insistent about timing. This is not about punishment. This is about positioning. There is a door that only opens when certain conditions are met, and December 28th marks the final alignment check before that door responds to your presence. Archangel Michael shows that what you are correcting is directly connected to authority. Somewhere along the way, you surrendered more access than was required. You allowed something to speak louder than your discernment. It may have come through obligation, loyalty, fear of disappointing someone, or even fear of being misunderstood. But heaven is clear now. Misplaced authority always creates spiritual congestion. This is why your prayers have felt delayed, not denied. The answers were ready, but the alignment was not complete. Understand this deeply. Heaven does not bless confusion, and blesses clarity. When you correct what has been misaligned, your prayers do not need to travel far. They land immediately. That is why Archangel Michael has stepped forward now. He governs divine order, and order is being restored in your life. You may notice memories resurfacing during this time. Moments where you felt you should have spoken up. Situations where you felt small when you were never meant to shrink. These memories are not meant to shame you. They are showing you how far you have come. The very fact that you can see the imbalance now means you are no longer bound by it. There is also a prophetic warning here. If you do not consciously choose correction, the universe will attempt correction through discomfort. Heaven prefers willing obedience over forced awakening. This message is mercy because it allows you to choose ease over struggle. Archangel Michael says the correction restores your spiritual jurisdiction. You will notice people respond differently to you once it is done. Boundaries will be respected without explanation. Opportunities will arrive without chasing. Peace will no longer feel fragile. These are signs of authority being reinstated. Do not expect applause when you correct it. Some people benefited from your silence. Some systems thrived on your overextension. When you change the rules, reactions will follow. But remember, resistance is not rejection. It is confirmation that movement has occurred. December 28th is also significant because it seals intentions. What you choose now sets the tone for what can legally operate in your life next year. This is not superstition. This is spiritual law. Alignment determines access. Archangel Michael reminds you that correction is an act of self-respect, not rebellion. You are not being difficult. You are being obedient to your calling. And your calling requires clarity. Listen carefully now. There is a reward attached to this correction. not immediately visible but deeply stabilizing. Once the imbalance is addressed, you will feel a quiet confidence return. Not loud, not arrogant, just steady. That steadiness is your sign that you are back in alignment. You are not behind. You were being prepared. If emotions surface as you listen, let them. Tears are not weakness, they are release. You are closing a chapter that asked too much of you. Heaven is proud of your willingness to listen. Archangel Michael stands as witness and protector over this transition. You are not alone in it. Every step you take toward alignment is met with support you cannot yet see. Now receive this ritual, because words spoken with intention carry power. Type "I choose alignment" in the comments if this message is confirming what your spirit already knows. Blessing code 928 has just been released. As this truth settles into your spirit, hear this invitation clearly. When you support this work, you are not funding a channel. You are helping light reach souls who are standing where you once stood, confused, burdened, and searching. Every seed sown here becomes oil in another lamp, clarity in another mind, and courage in another heart. I hear the Lord say, as you release, I will release through you, because obedience always activates overflow. If your spirit feels stirred right now, that is not emotion. It is a call to action. Do not delay what heaven is prompting. Step forward through super thanks, channel membership, or PayPal. The donation link is waiting in the description. I speak blessing over every giver. May what you release return multiplied, pressed down, and running over. Act now, and let your obedience become someone else's breakthrough. This message did not reach you by accident, and your response to it matters. When you give, you are partnering with heaven to break cycles in lives you may never meet, yet your obedience will echo in eternity. The word says the sower who releases does not lack, and I declare that promise alive over you right now. I feel led to say this plainly. Your support at this moment is a prophetic act, not a transaction. If your heart is burning, do not silence it. Move in faith through super thanks, membership, or the PayPal link in the description. I bless your hands to never be empty, and your path to remain clear. Obey now, and watch how heaven responds quickly. What you are receiving here is not content, it is assignment. And assignments require partners. When you support this mission, you help this word travel to those who are one message away from alignment and freedom. I hear God saying, those who water will be watered, and that promise is active, not symbolic. This is your moment to respond, not later, not someday. Use super thanks, become a member, or give through PayPal. The link is already prepared for you in the description. I declare increase over your obedience and peace over your household. Move now, because delayed obedience misses divine timing. Precious one, now Archangel Michael draws your attention to what happens immediately after correction, because many fear the unknown more than the imbalance they already know. Heaven understands this hesitation, and that is why clarity is being released now. The moment you realign what has been out of order, there is a spiritual recalibration that takes place quietly but powerfully. It may not announce itself with noise, but you will feel it like a deep exhale in your spirit. Archangel Michael reveals that once correction is made, the pressure you normalized will lift so suddenly that you may wonder how you carried it for so long. This is how you will know the warning was accurate. Peace will no longer feel like something you must fight for. It will begin to return naturally, without effort, without explanation. There is also something else being restored. Trust in your own discernment. Over time, repeated compromise dulls confidence. You start questioning your instincts. You second guess what you feel. Heaven is restoring your inner authority. When alignment is corrected, clarity sharpens. You will notice decisions become easier. Confusion will no longer linger for days. Answers will rise quickly. Archangel Michael also shows that after December 28th, a new rhythm begins. But rhythm requires space. If your life is crowded with unresolved agreements, there is no room for divine flow. Correction creates space. Space invites movement. Movement attracts provision. You are stepping into a season where delays will no longer teach you lessons. You have learned enough. Now comes confirmation. But confirmation cannot land where disorder remains. This is why the warning was urgent and loving at the same time. You may experience a strange mix of emotions as you move forward. Relief, grief, empowerment, and even guilt may surface. Guilt often appears when you choose yourself after a long season of self-neglect. Do not mistake guilt for conviction. Conviction brings clarity. Guilt brings confusion. Archangel Michael says release false guilt immediately. You are not abandoning anyone. You are honoring your assignment. There is also a caution here. Once alignment is restored, do not reopen what you closed out of nostalgia or fear. Familiarity does not mean permission. Just because something was once allowed does not mean it is still authorized. Growth requires consistency. Archangel Michael reminds you that protection increases with obedience. When you align, heaven responds with covering you cannot manufacture on your own. Certain attacks lose access. Certain distractions lose power. Certain doors close without effort. This is not coincidence. This is order. You may notice that people begin to reveal themselves more clearly. Masks slip when boundaries rise. Truth surfaces when tolerance ends. This is not loss. This is exposure. Exposure is a gift because it removes confusion. What is revealed cannot deceive you again. Now listen carefully. There is an opportunity waiting that you have not fully seen yet. It was delayed not because you were unworthy, but because timing required maturity. That maturity is being demonstrated through this correction. Heaven does not entrust new levels to old patterns. Archangel Michael shows that this opportunity carries expansion, not exhaustion. It aligns with who you are now, not who you were when you first asked. This is why you must finish this year clean. You are stepping into something that requires lightness. Do not rush the process. Correction does not mean chaos. Move with intention, not emotion. Speak when clarity leads, not when frustration pushes. The way you correct matters as much as the correction itself. You may feel tempted to explain yourself excessively. Resist that urge. Alignment does not require approval. Those meant to understand will understand without persuasion. Those who resist were never meant to carry access into your next season. Archangel Michael also warns against self-doubt after the decision is made. Once you choose, do not replay the choice repeatedly in your mind. Replaying is a form of retreat. Stand firm. Peace follows commitment. This is also a time to rest more intentionally. Correction is not only external, it is internal. Your nervous system has been on alert for too long. Once alignment is restored, allow your body to catch up with your spirit. Rest is not laziness, it is integration. You are not ending the year empty-handed. You are ending it refined. As this part of the message settles, notice how your breathing changes. That subtle calm is confirmation. Heaven does not speak to create anxiety. It speaks to restore order. Archangel Michael stands beside you now, not pushing, not rushing, simply guarding the path ahead. You are safe to move forward. You are supported in this decision. And what comes next will make sense only because you chose alignment now. Stay present with this. What unfolds next will reveal how deeply heaven has been preparing you all along. Beloved one, Archangel Michael now turns your attention to the unseen consequences of obedience, because many only measure change by what they can immediately observe. Heaven, however, measures transformation by what no longer has access to you. After correction, the most powerful shifts often happen silently. You may not receive instant applause, messages, or dramatic signs, but something far more valuable occurs. Spiritual interference begins to withdraw. Archangel Michael reveals that certain struggles you thought were just part of life were actually sustained by misalignment. They survived because they were tolerated. Once correction is made, these struggles lose their fuel. You will notice thoughts that once repeated now stop midway. Emotional triggers that once controlled your reactions will lose their grip. Situations that once drained you will no longer demand your attention. This is how freedom often arrives, quietly, without announcement. This is also the stage where patience is tested again, but differently. Not the patience of endurance, but the patience of trust. After you correct what was required, heaven asks you to wait without anxiety. You not rush to fill the space you just cleared. Empty space is not absence, it is preparation. Archangel Michael warns that immediately after alignment, temptation often appears in familiar forms. Old patterns will attempt one last invitation, not because they are strong, but because they are desperate. They will present themselves as unfinished business or just one more time. Recognize this for what it is. When something tries to re-enter after being released, it is revealing its loss of authority. You are not meant to wrestle with what you already outgrew. There is also a healing taking place that you may not have prayed for directly. Healing of self-trust. Healing of deceit and fatigue. Healing of the constant internal debate that kept you stuck. Archangel Michael says this healing comes because you finally chose clarity over comfort. Notice how your inner dialogue begins to change. The voice that once criticized now questions less. The fear that once spoke loudly now hesitates. This is evidence of alignment taking root. This phase may feel unfamiliar because chaos had become familiar. Do not confuse peace with emptiness. Peace is not boring. It is stable. Stability allows growth. Growth cannot survive in constant turbulence. Archangel Michael also reveals that your obedience is influencing others, even if they never tell you. When one person chooses alignment, it disrupts unhealthy systems. It gives others permission to reconsider their own boundaries. You may notice people behaving differently around you. Some will respect you more. Some will distance themselves. Both are responses to truth. You are not responsible for how others adjust to your growth. You are only responsible for remaining aligned. And now hear this carefully. There is a temptation to overcorrect, to swing too far in the opposite direction out of fear of repeating old mistakes. Archangel Michael advises balance. Correction is not revenge. It is not rigidity. It is clarity guided by wisdom. Move forward calmly. Extremes create new imbalances. This is also the season where discernment sharpens through peace, not pressure. You will know what to do next because it feels right, not because you are panicking. When a decision brings calm instead of confusion, it carries heaven's signature. You may still face challenges, but they will feel different. Challenges will no longer drain you emotionally before they even begin. You will approach them with steadiness instead of dread. This is progress you cannot fake. Archangel Michael reminds you that alignment does not mean life becomes perfect. It means life becomes manageable. You stop fighting battles that were never yours. You stop explaining yourself to people committed to misunderstanding you. You stop negotiating with what already expired. Pay attention to your body during this time. Tension you carried unconsciously may begin to release. Sleep patterns may shift. Appetite may change. These are signs that your system is adjusting to safety. Your body is learning that it no longer needs to stay alert all the time. You are allowed to enjoy this phase. Do not feel guilty for relief. Relief is a gift. It is confirmation that obedience produces rest. Archangel Michael says you are standing on the edge of something new, but new ground requires steady steps. Do not sprint. Walk with awareness. Let each decision reinforce the alignment you chose. If doubt whispers, return to what you know. Remember why correction was necessary. Remember how heavy things felt before. Peace is your evidence. This part of the journey is about integration. Letting your mind, body, and spirit catch up with the choice you made. There is no rush. Heaven is not anxious. What is meant for you will not pass you by while you are aligning. Remain here for a moment. Let the truth settle. What unfolds next will show you how alignment begins to attract what was always meant to find you. My dear one, Archangel Michael now addresses what many overlook at this stage, the responsibility that comes with restored alignment. Once order is reestablished, life does not return to what it was before. It moves forward with new expectations. Heaven begins to relate to you differently, not because you changed your worth, but because you changed your position. Alignment elevates responsibility, and responsibility refines character. You may notice that you are no longer comfortable with half-truths, vague promises, or unclear intentions. Things you once tolerated now feel irritating. This is not impatience, it is discernment maturing. Archangel Michael says your tolerance level has shifted because your spirit is no longer willing to live below what it knows. This is also where consistency matters. One aligned decision opens the door, but consistent alignment keeps it open. You do not need to be perfect. You need to be honest and responsive. When something feels off, address it early. Do not let small misalignments grow into large disruptions again. Archangel Michael reveals that after correction, your words carry more weight. Be mindful of what you declare over your life. Self-criticism that once felt harmless now works against you. Speak with intention. You are no longer in survival mode. You are in stewardship mode. There is also an invitation here to simplify. Alignment often exposes unnecessary complexity. You may feel drawn to reduce commitments, reorganize priorities, or create clearer routines. This is not withdrawal, it is focus. Focus creates momentum. You might also feel moments of loneliness during this phase. Not because you are alone, but because you are no longer surrounded by noise. Silence can feel unfamiliar when chaos was constant. Do not rush to fill it. Silence is where clarity strengthens. Archangel Michael assures you that this quiet season does not last forever. It is a bridge. On one side is who you were, on the other is who you are becoming. Bridges are meant to be crossed, not camped on. But crossing requires awareness. There may be times when you question if the correction was worth it. Old memories may try to romanticize what you left behind. Remember, nostalgia edits out the pain. Return to truth, not memory. Truth keeps you grounded. This is also the phase where gratitude becomes a stabilizer. Not forced positivity, but honest recognition of progress. Acknowledge what has changed. Acknowledge the peace you gained. Gratitude anchors alignment. Archangel Michael also highlights the importance of community during this time. Alignment does not mean isolation. It means connection with those who respect your growth. Seek voices that confirm truth, not confusion. Distance yourself from conversations that pull you backward. If these messages continue to resonate with you, do not walk this journey silently. Like this message to strengthen its reach. Share it so others standing at the edge of correction can recognize what they are feeling. Leave a comment declaring that you are choosing consistency, not just correction. And if you feel guided to receive these confirmations regularly, subscribe and stay connected. This space exists to keep you aligned, not distracted. Now listen carefully, because this next insight matters. Alignment exposes opportunities that chaos concealed. You will begin to notice openings you overlooked before. Not dramatic miracles, but subtle invitations. A conversation that leads somewhere new. An idea that feels lighter than your old plans. A door that opens without force. Do not dismiss small beginnings. Heaven often tests stewardship with subtle opportunities before releasing larger ones. How you handle what is small determines what is expanded. Archangel Michael reminds you not to rush manifestation. Alignment is not a lever you pull to get instant results. It is a foundation that supports sustainable blessing. What comes next will last because it is built on order. Pay attention to how your intuition feels now. It is calmer, clearer, less urgent. That calm is accuracy. Panic-driven decisions are no longer necessary. You are allowed to pause, to consider, to choose with wisdom. There is also a warning here. Do not take on responsibilities that compromise your alignment just to prove growth. Growth does not require exhaustion. It requires discernment. Say yes only where peace remains. You are learning a new way of moving. Slower, but stronger. Quieter, but clearer. This is maturity. Archangel Michael stands watch as you integrate this new rhythm. You are not expected to have everything figured out. You are expected to stay honest and responsive. That is enough. Before you move forward, remain present here. What is coming next will help you recognize how alignment begins to attract confirmation from unexpected places. Trust me, you will want to hear this part. Beloved child, Archangel Michael now brings your awareness to something subtle but essential: recognition. After alignment is restored and consistency is practiced, signs begin to appear, not to impress you, but to orient you. These signs are confirmations that you are walking in step with divine order. They may not look dramatic, yet they arrive with precision. A conversation answers a question you never spoke aloud. A delay protects you from something you did not yet see. A closed door saves you time, energy, and heartache. This is how guidance often speaks when alignment is real. Archangel Michael says many miss this phase because they expect fireworks, but heaven prefers fingerprints. Quiet evidence. Small confirmations layered over time. You are being trained to recognize truth without spectacle. That is maturity. This is also where trust deepens. Not blind trust, but informed trust. You begin to trust yourself again. You trust your discernment because it has proven reliable. You trust peace because it no longer disappears the moment pressure appears. This trust is not naive. It is earned. There is a recalibration happening in how you interpret resistance. Before, resistance made you question your direction. Now, you observe it without panic. You understand that not everything that challenges you is meant to stop you. Some resistance exists only to test your steadiness. Archangel Michael reminds you that calm persistence is more powerful than emotional force. You may notice that your reactions continue to change. Situations that once triggered urgency now invite observation. You pause more. You respond instead of react. This is not detachment. It is clarity. Clarity gives you choice. This phase also brings discernment around timing. You will feel less pressure to act immediately. You understand that some things require incubation. Rushing is no longer confused with faith. Waiting is no longer confused with fear. Everything begins to find its proper pace. Archangel Michael reveals that during this time, your spiritual sensitivity increases, but so does your grounding. You are not drifting upward, you are rooting deeper. This balance allows you to receive insight without losing stability. Revelation without grounding overwhelms. Grounding without revelation stagnates. You are learning to hold both. There is also a refinement in your desires. What you want begins to match what you need. You stop chasing what only looks good and start choosing what feels right. This alignment between desire and discernment protects you from unnecessary detours. You may experience moments where the past tries to reintroduce itself through memory, dream, or suggestion. Not to reclaim you, but to test your clarity. When this happens, do not argue with the memory. Simply observe how little power it holds now. That observation is progress. Archangel Michael also shows that your environment begins to reflect your internal order. Spaces feel calmer. Conversations feel clearer. Even conflict, when it arises, resolves more quickly. This is not because life became easier, but because you became aligned. There is an important instruction here. Do not measure your growth by how much you can handle. Measure it by how much you no longer need to handle. Strength is not endurance alone. It is discernment applied early. This is also the phase where joy returns in unexpected ways. Not loud excitement, but quiet satisfaction. Moments of contentment without explanation. Laughter that surprises you. These are signs that your nervous system is no longer bracing for impact. Safety has increased. Archangel Michael reminds you not to overanalyze these changes. Analysis pulls you back into the mind when the spirit is already leading. Allow what is unfolding to unfold. Trust the process you are now participating in consciously. You may begin to sense that something new is approaching, even if you cannot define it yet. That sense is accurate. Alignment attracts preparation. Preparation precedes manifestation. You are in the preparation phase, even if nothing outward has shifted dramatically yet. Do not underestimate this stage. Foundations are formed quietly. The most stable structures are built before they are seen. What is forming now will support what comes next without collapse. Archangel Michael says you are no longer being tested for survival, but for stewardship. How you manage peace, clarity, and consistency now matters. Stewardship is demonstrated through choices made when nothing is forcing you. Continue to listen inwardly. The guidance you need will come softly, but clearly. You do not need to chase signs. They will meet you as you walk. As this part of the message settles, remain attentive. What is about to unfold will show you how alignment begins to draw provision, opportunity, and confirmation together in ways you could not orchestrate yourself. My beloved child, Archangel Michael now reveals a truth that many never reach because they turn back too soon. After recognition comes separation. Not a dramatic cutting off, but a natural distancing that occurs when alignment becomes permanent. This is the stage where your life begins to reorganize itself around truth instead of tolerance. What once competed for your attention slowly loses its appeal. What once felt urgent now feels optional. This is not loss. This is refinement. Archangel Michael says this phase can feel confusing because it looks like stillness from the outside, yet internally, everything is being recalibrated. You are no longer reacting to life. You are responding with discernment. And discernment creates distance between you and what is misaligned without you having to force it. People may notice you have changed. Some will say you are quieter. Some will say you are harder to reach. Some may even say you are different. They are right. But different does not mean disconnected. It means directed. You are no longer available to everything, only to what is assigned. This is where many struggle emotionally. Not because alignment hurts, but because familiarity ends. Even unhealthy patterns can feel comforting simply because they were known. Archangel Michael reminds you that familiarity is not safety. Truth is safety. And truth sometimes requires release without replacement, at least temporarily. During this time, you may feel an urge to simplify even more. Fewer conversations, fewer explanations, fewer commitments that drain without purpose. This is not isolation. This is conservation. Your energy is being preserved for something specific. Archangel Michael also reveals that this is where spiritual authority stabilizes. Authority that comes from noise fades quickly. Authority that comes from alignment endures. You will notice that when you speak now, you are not trying to convince. You are simply stating truth. And truth carries weight without volume. There is also a deeper healing occurring here. Healing of people pleasing. Healing of over-explaining. Healing of the need to be understood by everyone. You are learning that obedience does not require consensus. Heaven's approval is enough. You may experience moments where you question if you are doing enough. This is an old mindset surfacing. Alignment teaches you that rest is productive when it is purposeful. You are not falling behind. You are being positioned. Archangel Michael warns against filling this space prematurely. Not every open space is meant to be occupied immediately. Some are meant to remain open so new instructions can arrive. Stillness is not stagnation when it is intentional. Pay attention to what drains you now. It will feel heavier than before because your tolerance has lowered. This is a sign of growth, not weakness. Do not force yourself to carry what your spirit is releasing. There may also be a sense of anticipation building, a quiet knowing that something is forming. You may not have details yet, but you feel readiness without urgency. That balance is rare. It is a gift of alignment. Archangel Michael says this is the stage where destiny becomes selective. Not everything can follow you where you are going. And not everyone is meant to. This does not make you superior. It makes you specific. You are learning to honor divine timing without anxiety. To trust silence without fear. To move without pressure. This is maturity. As this phase stabilizes, you will notice fewer emotional swings. Highs and lows level out. You become steady. And steadiness is what sustains long-term blessing. Now receive this ritual, because this moment marks consolidation. Type "I am sealed at alignment" in the comments if you feel this shift settling into your spirit. Blessing code 1443 is now activated. As this alignment seals around you, hear this clearly. What you are receiving here is reaching far beyond you. When you give, you help this light travel to souls who are still standing in confusion, waiting for clarity to find them. The Lord declares, those who sow into truth will reap in due season, and that word is alive right now. I feel prompted to say this is not a casual moment. It is a prophetic response. If your spirit feels stirred, do not delay obedience. Release your seed through Super Thanks channel membership, with a PayPal link in the description. I bless every giver with increase, protection, and clarity. Act now, and let your obedience become a doorway for others. Beloved one, Archangel Michael now speaks into the phase that follows sealing, because this is where many misunderstand what alignment truly produces. After separation and refinement, life does not immediately become loud or visibly expansive. Instead, it becomes intentional. This is the stage where momentum gathers beneath the surface. You may not feel rushed, but you are no longer drifting. Direction hath replaced motion for motion's sake. Archangel Michael reveals that after alignment is sealed, your choices begin to carry compound effect. One clear decision now influences multiple areas of your life. This is why heaven waited for stability before accelerating anything. Without alignment, speed creates damage. With alignment, speed creates progress. You may notice that your days feel different. Time feels fuller, not busier. You accomplish more with less effort, not because life is easier, but because distractions have lost authority. Focus has returned. Focus is a form of power. There is also a heightened awareness in this phase. You notice subtleties you once ignored. Tone in conversations, energy in environments, motives behind words. This is not suspicion. It is discernment activated through peace. You are not looking for problems. You are recognizing truth quickly. Archangel Michael says this awareness protects you from unnecessary detours. Before, you learned by trial and error. Now, you learn by recognition. Recognition saves time. You may also begin to feel a stronger sense of ownership over your life. Not control over others, but responsibility for your own direction. You stop waiting for permission. You stop needing validation. You move when clarity arrives, not when approval is granted. This phase brings a new relationship with patience. You are no longer patient because you feel powerless. You are patient because you are confident. Confidence removes urgency. Urgency often disguised itself as faith before. Now faith feels calm. Archangel Michael highlights that this is where inner discipline strengthens. You naturally say no to what disrupts your rhythm. You naturally say yes to what nourishes it. Discipline no longer feels forced. It feels protective. There may be moments when you reflect on how far you have come and feel a quiet disbelief. Not pride, but gratitude. Gratitude rooted in survival turning into stewardship. You did not just make it through. You emerged with wisdom. This stage also exposes how unnecessary certain struggles were. Not to shame you, but to free you from repeating them. When you see clearly, you stop romanticizing pain. You stop confusing struggle with purpose. Purpose does not require constant suffering. Archangel Michael also warns against complacency here. Not fear-based vigilance, but awareness. Alignment is maintained through responsiveness, not rigidity. Stay flexible. Stay listening. Correction does not end once. It becomes a practice. You may notice that when something feels off now, you address it quickly. There is no longer a long internal debate. Delay has lost its appeal. Clarity invites action, and action maintains clarity. There is also a deepening of your spiritual language, not in words you speak publicly, but in how you interpret experiences. You no longer ask, "Why is this happening to me?" You ask, "What is this teaching me?" A shift alone transforms outcomes. Archangel Michael says this is where resilience becomes quiet. You do not announce strength. You live it. Challenges come, but they do not shake your foundation. You bend, but you do not break. This is the fruit of alignment. You may feel drawn to learning, refining skills, or revisiting something you once loved but abandoned during survival mode. This is restoration of identity. You are reclaiming parts of yourself that were set aside, not because they were wrong, but because you were busy surviving. This phase is also marked by clarity around what you will no longer negotiate. Your non-negotiables become clear. Not hard, not rigid, but firm. Peace becomes one of them. Integrity becomes another. Alignment itself becomes a standard. Archangel Michael reveals that when alignment becomes a standard, life responds accordingly. Opportunities that require compromise simply stop appearing. Invitations that drain you lose appeal. What remains feels cleaner, lighter, and more sustainable. Do not be surprised if others begin to seek your perspective. Not because you are laggard, but because you are steadier. Stability attracts trust. Trust opens doors. You are not here to rescue everyone. You are here to walk in truth. Those meant to learn from your example will. Those who resist will choose another path. Both outcomes are acceptable. As this part of the message settles, notice how grounded you feel. That groundedness is your foundation for what comes next. Alignment has prepared you not just to receive, but to manage what is coming without losing yourself. Remain present. The next unfolding will show you how heaven confirms alignment through provision and timing in ways that feel unmistakably ordered. Beloved soul, Archangel Michael now speaks into a moment of acceleration that follows sustained alignment, because this is where many feel both excitement and uncertainty at the same time. When life begins to move again after a season of stillness, it can feel unfamiliar. You may sense momentum returning, but without chaos. That difference matters. This is not rushed movement. This is ordered expansion. Archangel Michael reveals that once alignment becomes your standard, life responds by increasing responsibility and opportunity together. Not to overwhelm you, but to confirm trust. Heaven does not expand what cannot be stewarded. The reason things begin to move now is because you have demonstrated readiness through consistency, not emotion. You may notice new demands on your time or attention. Invitations, ideas, or responsibilities may arise that feel meaningful rather than draining. Pay close attention to how they feel in your body. Alignment always carries peace, even when it stretches you. If something excites you but also steadies you, it is worth discerning further. This phase also brings refinement in decision-making. You no longer need to consult fear or urgency. You consult clarity. You ask, does this honor the order I fought to restore? That single question will protect you from repeating old cycles. Archangel Michael also warns against overcommitment disguised as purpose. Just because you can handle more does not mean you should take on everything. Alignment teaches you to choose impact over volume, quality over quantity, depth over noise. You may feel tempted to prove growth by doing more. Resist that urge. Growth is not proven through exhaustion. It is revealed through sustainability. What you build now must last. There is also a heightened sense of accountability during this time. Not condemnation, but awareness. You are more conscious of how your choices affect your peace, your energy, and your future. This awareness is not a burden. It is a gift. It keeps you awake. Archangel Michael says this is where many people unconsciously drift back into old habits because things feel normal again. Do not confuse familiarity with safety. Stay present. Alignment is maintained through awareness, not perfection. You may also notice that your standards have changed. Conversations that once entertained you now feel empty. Environments that once energized you now feel loud. This is not judgment. This is discernment refining taste. You are drawn to what nourishes, not what distracts. This stage often brings questions from others. They may ask how you changed, what shifted, or why you seem different. You do not owe everyone an explanation. Let your life speak. Consistency communicates more than words. Archangel Michael also highlights the importance of testimony here. Not performance, but honesty. When you share from truth, not ego, it strengthens others. Your story is not meant to glorify struggle. It is meant to confirm alignment. If these messages have been walking with you through this process, do not stay silent. Like this message so it continues to reach those who are right where you once were. Share it with someone who is sensing change but cannot articulate it yet. Leave a comment declaring that you are choosing sustainable alignment, not temporary excitement. And if this channel has become a place of confirmation for you, subscribe and stay connected. Staying connected is not about numbers. It is about remaining anchored in truth when life begins to move again. I'll pause here for a moment. What comes next is important, because acceleration always reveals what still needs attention. Not to discourage you, but to refine you further. This next layer will help you recognize the difference between divine momentum and distraction. Keep listening, because this clarity will protect what you are building. Archangel Michael also speaks of timing in this phase. You may feel pressure to act quickly because opportunities appear. Remember, alignment gives you the ability to move deliberately. You are allowed to pause, pray, and discern. What is meant for you will not disappear because you took time to choose wisely. You are not late. You are not behind. You are right where you need to be. This part of the journey is about balance. Holding momentum without losing peace. Accepting expansion without sacrificing order. Leading without striving. These are skills learned only through alignment. Archangel Michael stands watch as you navigate this stage. You are not being rushed. You are being guided. Trust that guidance. Remain here mentally and spiritually. The next unfolding will show you how heaven begins to confirm alignment through provision, clarity, and unmistakable timing. This is where many realize that the warning was never about fear, it was about preparation. Beloved one, Archangel Michael now draws your attention to a truth that becomes visible only after momentum stabilizes. When alignment and acceleration meet, revelation follows. This is the stage where understanding deepens, not through struggle, but through clarity. You begin to see why certain things had to end, why others were delayed, and why timing mattered more than effort. What once felt confusing now feels ordered. Archangel Michael reveals that this is the phase where wisdom replaces reaction. You no longer feel compelled to respond to everything that moves around you. Discernment has taught you that not every sound requires an answer. Silence becomes a choice, not avoidance. Observation becomes strength, not passivity. You may notice that your emotional range feels steadier. Not numb, not detached, but regulated. You feel joy without fear of loss. You face challenges without panic. This emotional maturity is not accidental. It is the result of alignment practiced consistently. When your inner world stabilizes, your outer world responds. This is also the stage where identity becomes clearer. You are no longer defining yourself by roles you played in survival mode. You begin to recognize who you are when peace is present. That recognition may surprise you. You may realize you are more capable, more thoughtful, and more resilient than you believed. Survival hid these qualities. Alignment reveals them. Archangel Michael also shows that your relationship with control has changed. You no longer need to manage outcomes tightly. Trust has replaced micromanagement. This does not mean you are careless. It means you are confident enough to allow life to unfold without force. There is a refining of intention happening now. You are more deliberate about why you do things, not just what you do. But it matters more. You choose actions that align with purpose, not ego. This refinement protects you from burnout and disappointment. You may also begin to notice a shift in how you interpret success. Success is no longer measured by speed, recognition, or comparison. It is measured by sustainability and peace. You ask yourself, can this last? If the answer is yes, you proceed. If the answer is no, you pause. This discernment saves you from building what cannot endure. Archangel Michael reminds you that not every blessing arrives loudly. Some arrive as stability. Some arrive as clarity. Some arrive as the absence of chaos you once thought was normal. Do not overlook these gifts. They are signs of divine order. This phase may also bring moments of introspection. Not heavy self-analysis, but gentle reflection. You may revisit old dreams with new perspective. Some dreams will no longer resonate. Others will return refined and realistic. This is not loss of ambition. It is alignment of desire. You might feel drawn to contribute in ways that feel meaningful rather than visible. Service shifts from proving to expressing. You no longer need applause to feel fulfilled. Fulfillment comes from alignment between action and intention. Archangel Michael also highlights that this is where humility deepens. Not insecurity, but grounded confidence. You know what you carry, but you do not need to announce it. Authority speaks quietly. Presence does the work. You may notice that challenges still arise, but they feel different. They do not threaten your identity. They do not shake your foundation. They invite application of wisdom rather than endurance. This is growth. There is also an increased sensitivity to integrity. You feel discomfort when something does not align, even if it benefits you temporarily. That discomfort is guidance. Honor it. Integrity maintained now protects future peace. Archangel Michael says this is where many people finally understand that alignment is not restrictive. It is liberating. Boundaries did not limit you. They freed you. Clarity did not reduce your options. It refined them. You are also learning to trust timing deeply. You no longer rush what needs development. You no longer delay what requires action. Timing becomes intuitive. This intuition is sharpened by experience and peace. As this phase unfolds, you may sense that something is preparing to conclude. Not abruptly, but intentionally. A final integration. A sealing of lessons learned. You are nearing the end of a cycle that taught you discernment, patience, and authority. Completion brings clarity. Archangel Michael stands near as this understanding settles. You are not being tested now. You are being confirmed. Confirmed in wisdom. Confirmed in alignment. Confirmed in readiness. Remain attentive. What follows is the culmination, where everything you have learned converges into a final instruction. This instruction will not feel heavy. It will feel clear. And when it arrives, you will know exactly what to do. My beloved child, Archangel Michael now brings this message to its completion, not as an ending, but as a sealing. What you have walked through was not a series of random corrections or lessons. It was a divine recalibration designed to prepare you for stability, authority, and peace that can be sustained. This final moment is about integration, allowing everything you have learned, released, and realigned to settle into who you are becoming. Archangel Michael says the reason this warning came before the year closed is because heaven does not want you dragging unfinished spiritual contracts into a new season. You were never meant to carry forward what expired in this year. The weight you laid down was not yours to keep, and the clarity you gained was not temporary. It is now part of your spiritual structure. This is the stage where trust becomes embodied. You no longer trust alignment as an idea. You trust it as a lived reality. You have seen what happens when you listen. You have felt the difference peace makes. You know now that obedience produces rest, not restriction. That knowing cannot be taken from you. Archangel Michael reveals that from this point forward, discernment will be faster. You will not need long deliberation to recognize what fits and what does not. Your spirit has been trained. Internal conflict that once accompanied decisions will no longer dominate. Choices will feel cleaner, even when they are difficult. There is also a release happening here of self-blame. You are no longer revisiting old moments with regret. You understand now that everything you endured taught you how to hear clearly. You stop wishing you had known sooner, because you recognize that knowing comes when readiness arrives. And you are ready now. This final alignment also changes how you view the future. You are no longer bracing for impact. You are preparing with expectation, not unrealistic hope, but grounded anticipation. You trust that what is ahead will meet you in order, not chaos. Archangel Michael says the next season of your life will require discernment more than defense. You will not need to fight everything. Many battles simply will not present themselves because access has been revoked. Peace will do what force never could. You may notice that your prayers change after this. They become simpler, clearer, more direct. You no longer pray from desperation. You pray from agreement. Agreement with heaven carries authority. There is also an inheritance of calm being released over you. Not the calm of avoidance, but the calm of confidence. You will walk into situations without losing yourself. You will engage without overextending. You will lead without striving. This is the fruit of alignment completed. Archangel Michael wants you to hear this clearly. You did not miss anything that was meant for you. What was delayed for your protection. What was removed for your freedom. And what is coming will arrive in a way that does not cost you your peace. This message ends with confirmation, not warning. The correction has been made. The seal is set. The year closes with order restored. Now receive this final ritual, because words spoken with belief finalize what has been formed. Type "I am walking in divine order" in the comments if you receive this sealing. Blessing code 6060 is now activated. As this message seals in your spirit, I speak directly to those who feel the weight and the peace of this moment. When you support this mission, you are not giving to a voice. You are helping God reach hearts that are still standing at the edge of correction and breakthrough. The Lord declares, what you release in obedience, I will return in increase, and that promise is alive right now. I feel led to say this is a moment of divine response, not delay. Activate your seed through super thanks. Step into partnership through channel membership, or give through PayPal. The link is waiting in the description. I bless every giver with protection, clarity, and overflow that does not steal peace. Move now, because obedience at the close of a cycle unlocks favor in the next.